Hey everybody, welcome back to Mel's Board Game Room. So today I'm doing my top 9 games played during the month of November. We're actually on the 10th of December when I'm recording this, so I'm a little bit late, but December's been busy already. I already have my first Christmas with my dad and my siblings. We did that last weekend, and while we had a house full of people, we had a sewer backup, of course, because what better time? So I ended up having to kind of got somebody to come in for kind of an emergency. And then the insurance company showed up today, and we're going to need to remove the flooring in the whole basement, which is where my office and my board game room is. So luckily, there was a bit of water. We kind of noticed it right away. None of the games got damaged, but the floor did, so we need to remove the floor, which means my collection of 1,100 games is going to need to get packed up and moved to the, like in boxes and put in the garage or something until they can clean up, remove the flooring, put new flooring. And the cleanup's going to be right away, but the rebuilding it, that's going to be a couple of months. So tomorrow, probably, I'm going to need to decide which of my 1,100 games I want to keep out for the next 2 months. So that's going to suck. It's going to be tough to decide. Good news is I don't have to pack up the games. I don't have to put them back on the shelf. They will do all of that. And they're going to take pictures of each shelf, apparently, and put them all back the way that it's in there now. So that's, I guess that's, let's beat the alternative. That's a lot of games. That's a lot of games. I feel bad for them a little bit having to do that, but that's the nature of the beast, and that's the situation. So that's why I'm a few days late recording this video. But let's get to the topic on hand here. So we're going to be talking about the top games that I played during the month of November. And before I get into that, I'll show you the stats. So in November, I have played 54 times with 39 different games. So that's actually pretty good. And if you look at the bottom thing there, there's only a couple of days that I've played games. There's more days I haven't played games than days I have played games. But my friend Carla came over, and when me and Carla get together to play games, we play games. We played 18 games, actually, when she came over. She stayed the night, so spent a couple of days, and we played 18 games throughout those 2 days. So that was really good. But let's get started with the top 9, shall we? So in number 9 position, I don't know where it should be, so I'm not like in the way of the image here, so I'll move over here. So in number 9 position is Lawyer Up. Lawyer Up is a game I don't own. This is Carla's game. She brought it over. She actually bought it secondhand for $15. And we ended up playing it, and it was so interesting. It was really interesting. Like, we're 2-player game, right? So one's the prosecutor, one's the defender, and then you have the jury, and you need to try to get the jury to go on your side. So it has a bit of a tug-of-war element with each jury there. And what's going to happen is you're going to have a bunch of different witness that you're going to bring to the middle, and then you have cards. And the witness has symbols, your cards has symbols, so you can play a card to kind of sway the witness towards your side, but it has to match. One of the symbol on the witness has to match the symbol on your card. Then the next card you play has to match. One of the symbol has to match what was on the previous card, and so on. And you're adding this up, and then it's tallying up the number. And at the end, whoever has the better case, so the higher number, gets to keep that witness on their side. And depending on what happens, and it'll kind of allow you to sway some of the juries towards your side as well. But then the other team can do that as well. So it's really thematic. I really enjoyed the gameplay of it. It's scenario based, so you have like different scenarios that you can play. This one all had to do with an art theft. From what I understand, season 1 had 2 scenarios. Season 2 has more, and then you can buy expansions to kind of get more stories associated with it. But it was interesting. I quite enjoyed that, so that's what my number 9. All right, in number 8 position, it is Dice Throne Outcast. It missed Halloween by 2 days. It showed up 2 days after Halloween, so it's like, oh, that's too bad. But me and Lee ended up playing it, and it was so neat, really interesting. This image is a little bit deceiving because Lee was playing as the headless horseman, and he can send his head and place it on other players. So he had his head on top of mine. I was playing as the Pale Lady or the Ravenous. No, I was playing as the Ravenous. My special ability is I have a raven that I can send over to other players, and it'll suck up like health and combat points and different things. So you have those two characters. There's the Pale Lady, and there is also the Necromancer. I haven't got to play the other two characters. I wonder if this is one of the games I should keep out for the next 2 months, and then to get the chance to play the other two characters. Because once they're packed up, these games are going to be in boxes for 2 months. Anyways, but yeah. So quite enjoyed it. It was so thematic. I love Dice Throne. And each character plays so different that it's so interesting. I have played as well in December the Santa versus Krampus. So I might just keep that one. But anyways, that was my number 8 Dice Throne Outcast, and I quite enjoyed it. So looking forward to trying the other characters. Then in number 7 position is a game that finally got delivered. It got lost. And it got lost because of me. I put the wrong postal code, and it was my old postal code, and I didn't notice because there was only 1 digit different. But that is Knitting Circle. So Knitting Circle finally made its way. It's kind of the sequel to Calico. And one of the things that is amazing with this game is the whole rondelle. So you have the rondelle in the middle. You move your cat. You can kind of go 1 to 2 spaces ahead, and then you pick the color and the pattern that you want in there. So it's knitting. So you have the knit and the purl side. You have the different color. And then when you put your different project together, you have to go knit, purl, and so on. And then you have different goals you're trying to do. So either the you want to have like a certain pattern, you want to have certain colors in there, or there's a certain type of garment you're trying to make, and then that's going to give you bonus points. Now, you want to be careful that you don't make an ugly garment, because then you get negative points. And if you make something that ends up having no pattern, no set patterns, then it's going to be negative points. So I thought that was really interesting. That whole rondelle actually is something you can utilize as an expansion for playing Calico. Because Calico is great, but it gets so tough at the end that, you can't match all the pattern. You're going to have to break something, and it's so frustrating, and it's harder to plan because you only have the limited option. But if you utilize this rondelle, it kind of gives you a little bit more control of the choices that you can make. So I think that would be an amazing expansion to add to Calico. I really enjoyed it with Knitting Circle. Somebody had commented at some point that Knitting Circle was really basic or light in comparison to Calico, and I was kind of worried that it would be too light, but it is not. This is thinky. You still want to match those patterns. You're going to end the game kind of like, I needed 2 more turns. But it's not a super light game. It was really good. Really enjoyed it. Beautiful on the table. Love that whole rondelle kind of tile selection mechanism that's in here. So that was great. And that's my number 7, Knitting Circle. Number 6 position is a game that also kind of arrived recently for me, and that is Twinkle Twinkle. So I bought this game just because I've been on a kick with All Play. I'm enjoying all of their games. So I kind of like, I see something, it's like, yep, All Play made it, I'll buy it. So Twinkle Twinkle is like a tile laying game. Now, what's very interesting is you have the row of tiles. You have your little character. You're going to select which tile you want to add to your tableau. But where you put it also determines your order selection next round. So it's more beneficial if you want to go first to pick something that's further to the left. But the better, more valuable tiles are probably going to be to the right. So it's kind of have an interesting balance there. And you're trying to create patterns. So you're creating constellations. So stars that connects, then the amount of constellation, the amount of stars that's in there is going to score you points. Then you have Planets, you have black holes, you have satellites, and you'll have all of these different things that, depending on what's around them, how it's going to score. And you're trying to maximize your pattern so that you get the better score. This is a really neat game. I have played this 2, 3, 4 times now since I've gotten it in the last couple of months, and it goes over well all the time. So Twinkle Twinkle, that's my number 6. Great game. Then in number 5 position is a game that I played when Carla was over. And this is a game that I purchased for $40 because it was my on a dent, like, what is it called? I can't remember, just dent comes to mind, but it had a tiny little dent on it. So they put a deep discount. Bought this one for $40, and that is Unconscious Mind. I think it's like $80 normally, around that. Now, this is a bigger game. It has a lot of different elements to it. It will fill your table. However, and I keep saying that, it wasn't super complicated. You might not feel that way, but I feel that the whole game made sense. So that because there's like a obvious flow to it, that it makes it fairly easy to learn and play once you've got it figured out. And this is all about, we're psychiatrists and we are working with our clients and trying to figure out what their dreams are. And we're trying to get them in a state of, and I forget what the name is. It's almost like you make them numb or something. I don't know. And then you have the card. You have a clear card that goes on top. That's the dream you need to figure out. And there's symbols on there. And then you need to have on your little rondelle, like these little tokens, move to different locations on there so that it'll match the tokens on the dream, so you can remove the dream and then you can cure your patient, basically. The theme is interesting and it's very thematic in the way that it kind of all works. The action selection is really neat because you have the tableau. There's a different tiles that kind of shows the different things you can do. You have like a little thought bubble that you're going to add, and the way that it points to is which one you're going to activate. And you kind of purposely kind of select things so that maybe you block other players. But then whichever one you activate, depending on which lineup you go to, you can then activate along that row and get something extra as well. So that's something you're going to kind of pay attention, because maybe you need to move, because you also have this little medicine bottle that's going to move on your board, and then that's going to activate things also. And then so depending on where you land, how much that's going to move, and depending on where that lands, what you get to activate. And it's been like an engine building, because you're going to be adding tiles. Then if you activate the whole row, then more tiles you have there, the more things you can activate. Really, really neat game. It's beautiful. The different mechanism in there works really well together, and it's well thought out. This is a really well thought out game. So Unconscious Mind, that was my number 5. In number 4 position is another game that I played when Carla came over. We played it, the two of us, and this is A Message from the Star. It's another all-play game, so I bought it knowing absolutely nothing about it, and then we played it, and I loved it. So you can play multiple players. It says 2 to 8. In my opinion, this one will shine at 2. And it has like a word puzzle and math element to it. So this is a thinky game. It's a very puzzly game. This is going to make your brain think, and maybe you hate it. I personally love that. I love to challenge of figuring out what's going on here. And what's going to happen is we're going to take turn. You're going to have the clue giver, and then you're going to have the clue giver technically is an alien species, and they're communicating with you, and you have limited access to their vocabulary, and you're going to be providing we're exchanging words, trying to figure out what the decipher is. Now, they have a little screen, and on the screen, they'll have 3 words that will give you 1 point, or 3 letters that will give you 1 point. Then you have 2 letters that's going to be multiplier by 2, and then you're going to have 1 letter that if this letter is in the word, then that word's going to have a negative score. Okay, so now if that letter is on there twice, it doesn't make it a positive. It's still just negative score. So this is what we know. We don't know what these letters are. So what's going to happen is they're going to give you a word. And so like they give us follow, Follow. The score for follow was 8. So what does that mean? Right? So it could mean that there are 8 letters. There's not. There's only 3 letters. But follow does have double L, double O's. Right? So double L, double O's. So that would be 4 points if those 2 letters were point letters. And then there'd be another one. So it'd be 5 points. So we know there's a multiplier in there because you can't make that total utilizing just the. Is your brain hurting yet? Because it gets tricky and thinky, like I said. So I love that about it. Then in exchange, you're going to be like, okay, so that tells me this. Now, which letter could that be? And then you're going to provide your own word that they're going to look and give it a score so that you can try to figure out. So I gave island, and island now is -2. Okay, well, one of these letters is the one that gives it a negative. So we know that. It ended up being I in this particular one. Now, it could be that one letter and one multiplier, or it could be that the 2 letters that has points. So I keep saying letter. Yeah, those letters. So that's right. So they're going back and forth. So you got to think on which word you're going to provide to try to get clarification of what this decoder thing is, right? Also, the words you provide need to be clues for what the secret message is, because you have a card with words on it, and that has a secret message. So then at the end, for every letter that you've decoded correctly, you're going to gain 1 point. And for every word that you've guessed correctly for this secret message on both the alien side and the earthling side, that's going to give you a point as well. So it was neat. I love this game. I cannot wait to play it again. Like I said, I think this will be better at 2. A lot of people that I know will hate this game just because it's going to be too thinky for them. But the crunchiness of it, it's perfect. Beautiful game. And that is my number 4, A Message from the Stars. Then in number 3 position is Bah Humbug. So I have played Bah Humbug a few times. It arrived kind of over the summer. Now, what's interesting with Bah Humbug is you have all of these components. And with all of these different components in the game, there are 12 plus different games that you can play with it. Now, my friend Duncan actually was one of the designers that did Deck Build the Hall, which is a trick-taking game that also combines deck building. I challenge you. Have you ever played a trick-taking deck building game? That was so unique. And when he showed me his game the first time, and it was just still in the prototype form, I was blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to need to play this. And I'm going to need to get this game. So for that alone, because that version was so good. Now, we have played it a few more times because it's the season now. So this is a perfect time to be pulling out this game. And I ended up playing, Dressing the Mantle, which is a 2-player game where you have the cards that you have in the middle there in this picture. You actually put them in a row and you kind of create a mantle. And then we also did the Christmas Parade, which was an interesting kind of card placement game. So you're trying to place cards, you're trying to lock them into place to maximize the score. And then this one is actually the original Bah Humbug that you see on the screen here. So this is kind of a what's the word, liar, where you'd be like, I'm playing a 5. It's like, okay, is it a 5? Well, I have a 5 here. So I know there's 4 more 5s, and so it's kind of one of those are they lying? And you can say, no, I think you're lying. And you're going to call out Bah Humbug. And then when you call out Bah Humbug, they have to reveal at the 5 location if we're at 5, because you kind of follow where you're at if they've played a 5. If they did play a 5, they get a holly. If they were wrong and they lied and they didn't play a 5, you get the holly. Then you're going to go at the previously played cards and you're going to flip them over. And if somebody had lied and got away with it, then they get a coal. And to win the game, now we're playing a 2-player game. So to win the game, we would need 3 hollies or 7 coals. So it was really interesting. Now keep in mind, in this game, there are 12 12s, 11 11, 10 10s, and so on. So if you'd be like, oh, I'm playing a 2, and I have a 2 here. So there's only one more 2 in the 80-some cards that are in play, and you only have 8 of them. So chances are you might not have a 2. Then I'm like, bah, humbug. So then you reveal, it's like, well, no, it was a 2. Then it's like, oh my God, what are the chances? So I really enjoyed it. Now, we played it at 2. This game, I think, is going to shine at a higher player count. So far, I've played 4 games out of this box. It has a collection of multiple games, and I really enjoyed all 4 of them. So I'm excited to try more because it's amazing. And then this is a fairly small box and fits so many. Like, this is probably one. Okay, I am going to pull this one out. This one and Pyramid Arcade, because it's a lot of games in just a couple boxes. So that was my number 3, Bah Humbugs and the 12 Games of Christmas. Then in number 2 position is another game that I played when Carla and Kayla came over, and we played Emberleaf. I had known nothing about this one, and it ended up being really satisfying. So definitely area control aspect to it, but it's not as mean. Like, you're not blocking people out. You play a tile, I can still go on that particular tile, but you kind of dictate what's going to be there, and that might affect whether I get to score or not, depending on what you're doing. And that's all great. That's what's happening on the board. That is not the best part of the game. What is the best part of the game is the card mechanism in here. So you have a hand of card. You're going to be adding card to your tableau, whether you add it any location you want. Now, if you cover something, you might get a special action you can do, or you might get to collect an extra resources, and then you can activate the action that's on there if there's an action on the card. This is a card dancing mechanism, or dancing card. I don't know which order it is, but you can then slide your cards over. So for every card that have a slide action, you get then to activate that action. And some of them will also have a drop action. So when this card slide off your player deck, then you get to do the drop action. So you might get to activate both slide and drop, depending on where the card is. Now, if you want to activate a slider multiple times, you're going to make sure you put that puppy all the way to the right, so you get to slide it a few times before it drops off, and activate that. When it drops off, it goes in your discard pile, and you can acquire new cards. And so it has a deck building elements to it. And then eventually you're going to shuffle, draw back up, and then you're going to have like the cards that you have available. Artwork is beautiful. Gameplay is super satisfying. That whole card mechanism was amazing. And that's my number 2, Emberleaf. Then in number 1 position this month, for the month of November, is March of the Ants. This is the second version, or the second edition, I guess it's called the Evolution Edition. And it was Sony. Actually, I got confirmation. Okay, this is a Kickstarter. It's arriving. And I'm like, I backed this? I couldn't remember backing this at all. And I think one of my friends had said, oh, this looks really interesting, and I think it's going to be great. And I was like, good enough for me, and I backed it, not knowing more than that. But March of the Ants, really interesting. So you build your tunnel, so you have the ant tunnel that you're going to be building. Definitely strong element, area control element there. There's going to be some battling as well. You might lose some ants that are in there. Then you also have your player board where you have your ant, and then you can play extra cards to upgrade your ant. So you can give it extra heads, or like kind of upgrade their heads, and then that's going to give you extra attack power in battle. Or you can change their thorax, and then that's going to give you extra actions you can activate. Or excuse me, or if you update their abdominal, you can feed more ants for every food that you have, because at the end of the round, you're going to need to feed all your ants. If you don't feed your ants, they die. If they die, you lose points. Not great situation. this is really cool. The very first time we played, we were playing it wrong. Me and Carla ended up playing it again. All the right rules this time. We played it at 2 instead of like a full player, but it's so neat. It is just like a neat, satisfying. The whole thing works so well, right? Kind of adding tiles, creating the tunnels, kind of activating which action you're going to activate. Some action requires you to spend food or spend different things. Now you get to do the actions. And when you do an action, everybody else gets to do a sub action. And then it just works so well. It was so interesting. I quite enjoyed it. And then this was like another second time I got to play it, I think, because it just arrived. So that was my top 9 games for the month of November. Here is a picture of all of the games that made the top 9. And here's the stats again. So that was 54 plays of 39 different games. 21 of these games were new to me. So I've played a lot of new games. We played at 2 locations. So my house, I don't know where else I played games. So 2 different locations. Out of the whole month, 10 days were days that I've played some games. So very decent month, I would think. So here is all of the games that I ended up playing. Some of them that didn't make the top 9, but you can see what we ended up playing here. And then the second page for that. So be sure to follow me. I am on Facebook at Mel's Board Game Room. I also have an Instagram called Mel's_boardgame_room. I also have a podcast that I do with my friend Carla called The Board Game Specialist. And of course, my YouTube channel called Mel's Board Game Room. So thanks so much for tuning in. I think I'll probably be doing a video pretty soon here of the games that I'm going to keep out for the next 2 months and see what I picked and why I picked them. So stay tuned for that. Bye, everybody.